What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Driveway, a CarGurus podcast.
And Autolist.
And Autolist. That voice you heard coming all the way from the West Coast, beautiful sunny California, is Dave Underkoffler.
Good morning.
Editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, I should have also noted. And to his left, your right maybe, is Matt Smith, deputy editor of CarGurus.com.
I'm feeling good. I'm ready to go.
You're feeling good.
Let's get into this.
So Matt, I told you I would come clean about something. Dave, you don't know this.
Yeah.
Matt is one of our expert reviewers, does video reviews on YouTube, as are you. I edit Matt's videos, and we came to a realization recently. I haven't gone back to verify how long it's been, but for at least the past year, on Matt's lower third title card, he has been Duped editor.
Yeah.
I've had his title misspelled for months.
I've been duped.
You've got one job to do. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, Matt, I told you that I would publicly apologize. I would publicly atone for my sins.
Well, I'm still waiting for the apology part.
Well,
you've admitted
I was getting there. I'm so sorry, but frankly, I think Dupe the editor has a little bit of a ring to it.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, to be fair, Matt, that's what I call you behind your back.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
The Dupe the editor, Matt Smith.
Dupe the editor.
Hoopty over here.
So if any of our leadership is watching or listening, I strive for better.
Yes.
But we all make mistakes.
Well, and now I'm pleased to announce that I have officially been made deputy editor by
Congratulations.
Elliot. And I look forward to my salary increase commensurate with this change.
Yeah, there's a big bump.
Yeah.
Big bump.
Huge bump, yeah. Dupties don't get paid much these days.
Duped editor is not on the
There's
payroll
no money
at all.
in being
Yeah, so look for Matt's upcoming Hyundai Tucson review where he will officially be the deputy editor of CarGurus.com.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So thank you for giving me that time.
So what are we talking about today?
Thank you for giving me the space to atone, like I said.
I appreciate the public apology. You know, everybody makes mistakes, or so I've heard.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, with that intro, I hope you're still along for the ride. We're talking about SUVs today.
Not just any SUV.
We're talking about luxury
Fancy
SUVs.
ones.
Not just any luxury
We're talking
SUV.
about used luxury SUVs.
There we go.
In this year of 2025, we have an article, as we discuss sometimes on The Driveway. It's called The Best Used Luxury SUVs of 2025 on CarGurus.com. And we're gonna talk through the cars on that list. We're gonna say what we like, what we'd want to take home, why we like them, and that's gonna be the frame of the episode.
What should not be on this list? Because there is one that scares me. Nope.
You got to look at the bright side, the exciting side of life. And
there's no bright side to this car, but we'll get to that one.
The vehicle that you're thinking about, I would say it's the most exciting from a risk perspective, but also a performance perspective.
It's just about changing your view on the world.
That's right.
Risk is fun. So, Dave, I'm going to run through the list.
Your view on the world will be sitting in your mechanic's office. But okay, we'll get to that one.
I'm going to run through the list. And, Dave, if you want to make like a little a hand motion or a sound effect for audio listeners when I say it, maybe you don't have to specifically call it out, but let us know.
Okay.
The list, and this is, as we learned in a previous episode, alphabetical order.
That's right.
It is in alphabetical order.
They're not always alphabetical. Sometimes there's a different logic.
This one is alphabetical.
Sometimes there's no logic.
So, little hint. It's A to V. Acura's first, Volvo is last. So first, we have the Acura MDX, then the Audi Q7, the BMW X5, Infiniti QX60, the Jaguar F-Pace, Land Rover, Range Rover, Sport, the Lexus RX, the Lincoln Aviator, the Mercedes-Benz GLE, and the Volvo XC60. These are what we think, what our editorial team agrees are some of the best used luxury SUVs in 2025. Dave, what's the one you didn't love?
Yeah, let's just get it
out of the way.
Early. Come on, Dave.
Well, look, we'll put it into context, okay? First of all, I am a person who puts reliability at like the top of the list.
Sure.
Growing up, we had the worst cars ever, and it scarred me throughout my childhood. So I go reliability first. Yeah. So at the end of the reliability spectrum are both Jaguar and Land Rover, Range Rover. So that would mean the Jaguar F-Pace and the Land Rover, Range Rover Sport. Let's just call it the Range Rover Sport.
Sure.
Would be two that I would stay away from a reliability standpoint. Now, as Matt alluded to at the beginning, the Jaguar F-Pace, delightful to drive. And both of these cars are delightful to own from to ride in. They have soft leather. The interiors are very comfortable. They've got sort of the status. You pull up to the curb and you're in a Jaguar or Land Rover.
They're cool.
I get that. I live in LA. My God, you shake a tree and 2 dozen fall out, right? They're everywhere. I get it. I get the appeal. But if you are going used, go into this consideration with your eyes open and know that you are going to likely face higher repair costs and more frequent repairs for either of those vehicles. So for some people, that's worth it. God bless. Go for it. They're enjoyable to drive. But I just don't know if I would want to own either of those.
And on the 8th day, our Lord came down and blessed us with the extended warranty. You know,
Sure.
there are 2 words.
It's going to cost you, but yeah.
2 words.
It doesn't have to be that way. There are anyway. Go ahead.
Supercharged V8. Now listen, both the Jaguar F-Pace and the Range Rover can be had with 4 cylinders. I think maybe a V6 in the Range Rover. You know, the pedestrian engines. But critically, both of them are also available with 500 plus horsepower supercharged V8s. And personally, I mean, Dave, you were talking about the reliability question. Yes, it's there. There's a reason I prefer to drive these for a week at a time when they're brand new and loaned to me by an automaker so that I don't have to worry about these things.
Yeah.
But I did drive an electric blue. We'll use electric there as an adjective because I'm sure that's not actually the name of the shade of blue. But this blue Jaguar F-Pace SVR, it's the big engine one. It sounds so good.
Yeah.
And I had that. I drove it in a snowstorm to and from a shoot up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And I felt like Superman. Just
what tires did that thing have?
Probably summer tires.
It's amazing that you stayed shiny side up. Yeah. I get it. Like, they sound incredible. That V8, again, yes, I'm on board with all of the things. Sure. If you wanted to hand one to me and in the glove compartment was a blank check to cover all the repair costs, sure. Chef's kiss. That's my big caveat is people don't always consider that. You get sort of blinded by the appeal of some of these vehicles and you don't think over the course of how many years I'm going to own it, I need to be prepared for XYZ.
Yes. I mean, it's
all I'm saying.
It's just different reasons to purchase. I would put the BMW X5 in there as well. You know, you can get the high performance X5, and it's like you don't buy those 3 for the same reasons you would buy the Acura or the Lexus or maybe.
Although I will say,
go ahead.
Statistically, BMWs are more reliable than Jaguar Land Rover.
Yeah. Also,
but you're right.
You're probably going to pay more for the BMW, and there is a reason for that. There's a reason.
So Jaguar, I'm curious about Jaguar. We're talking about used luxury SUVs. Jaguar is revamping their business model, right? They're not making these anymore.
Oh yeah,
they're moving all electric. Obviously, you can go to a third party, an independent mechanic.
It's collector's edition, collector's item.
So there's a value prop maybe there. Are repair bills going to be? Is it going to be harder to get it repaired now that Jaguar is not making it anymore? Does that play a factor at all into this?
No, I think there are so many Jaguars, Land Rovers on the road that for so long are going to need repair.
Yeah.
It actually is probably a pretty good business model. Own a Jaguar Land Rover repair shop. You're going to be in business as long as there are gas running versions on the road. So I hear what you're saying. And that's a whole different conversation of, what does reliability do to the land, or how does reliability change once everything's electric? But that's for a decade from now.
So instead of spending any more time on the vehicles that maybe aren't this trio, and we should say, Matt, do you want to talk to how these lists are made?
Hang on. Sorry, I hate to interrupt. Please do not lump in the BMW X5 with those other 2.
That was Matt.
In my eyes, they are not the same. The calculus changes. The reliability is greater.
Perspective.
The reliability is greater better on the BMW, and you still retain lots of the driving dynamics that make the Jaguar appealing. The BMW actually is pretty high on my list of what's listed here for those reasons.
So I just want to these lists. Sometimes we talk about these lists and we're like, why is this on the list? We don't think this should be on the list. We're the editorial team, but we're not the only people that write these lists, and none of us wrote this list. Matt is the editor, so he's the overseer, maybe.
Don't call me the overseer.
The overseer. What do you want to be? Just the editor.
Yeah.
You're Dupe the editor.
He's the Dupe the editor. Yeah.
So that's just to clarify why sometimes we are debating what's on this list, even though it's a CarGurus product. Does that make sense? Did I explain that
Love it.
properly?
Love it.
Okay, so instead of the vehicles that at least one of us doesn't think should be on, what should be? I know, Dave, you just kind of were high on BMW for a second. I think I would be high on the BMW. But what else? What sticks out as a bright light on this list? Maybe Matt. What do you think? What is
Matt,
your?
I want to hear what do you like? What are you running to first here?
All right, so I was standing in the corner of the table that is dedicated to passion and enthusiasm and living life to the fullest. But I'll move over to Dave's corner for a moment.
The guy who owns a Subaru
and a Honda.
and a Honda.
How about it?
I'll move over to Dave's corner. The safe.
Join me.
The logical, the risk averse, and I think you got to look at the Acura MDX and the Lexus RX. Now, both of these are on the older side of things. Acura redid the MDX, I think, for the 2022 model year, but stretching back even before then, this was a vehicle that had surprisingly good driving dynamics, a very good reputation for reliability. For those not in the know, Acura is the luxury arm of Honda. So, you're going to get, I think it has a 3.5 liter V6 engine in there. Honda, Acura, they know how to build these. They've got a good reputation for reliability. My sister-in-law actually was looking at the time, she was looking at an RX, and I said, you should just drive the RDX as well from Acura, a Lexus RX. I told her to drive the Acura RDX. She loved it, bought it, had another kid, needed a bigger car, didn't even go back to Lexus. She went right up to the MDX. She liked it that much. That isn't to say, though, that the Lexus kind of falls out of the same tree in terms of, this is Japanese reliability. They've been building them for a really long time. I think the RX, when they restyled it, it got a little more angular, maybe a little less classic
not everyone
looking.
loves that look.
I think it's aged pretty well. The RXL, the stretched one, is a little worse in my opinion, but I don't
They're
think
slightly different beasts though, right? The MDX is like a true 3-row. You're going to be putting people, potentially
100%.
adults back there. It's bigger, whereas the RX is really more of a 2-row. The RXL, maybe you put an adult back there.
And I wouldn't recommend the RXL. Like basically,
right. So they are sort of different. Yeah. We own, for context, full disclosure, my wife owns the previous generation Acura RDX. That's the smaller one, I think, like your sister. We've loved it. We don't put many miles on it, but it's been great. We've had it 8 years now. We have 2 little kids. It's a great size. If and when we need it, something larger, an MDX is probably one of the first things we'd put on our list.
Yeah, both the MDX and the RX. And you're right, 3-row for the MDX. Best thought of as a 2-row for the RX. They do sell the 3-row RXL, but I'd recommend it as a 2-row. Both of them use that, different, but the same size and style, 3.5 liter V6 engine.
Naturally aspirated.
They're not
no turbo,
they're not performance.
No turbo
SUVs,
lag.
Tried and true.
Well, luxury. They feel good.
Well, I will say they're not performance, but the reason I pointed out it's not turbocharged, I actually see that as an advantage. I love naturally aspirated V6s. I think you don't have that turbo lag. It's either that or often the V6 is replaced by a turbocharged 4-cylinder. Give me a naturally aspirated V6 over a turbo 4 every day of the week. My wife's car, again, it's a similar engine to what's in the MDX. Sounds great, tons of power. It's a really, the Acura and Honda use that engine in a lot of their vehicles. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. The turbo 4s will usually get a little better fuel economy, but I kind of agree. I don't know if the fuel economy benefit, I don't think it outweighs the driving dynamics improvement that the V6 gives you.
Yeah, you always get the fuel economy benefit a little bit. You get usually a little bit more power when it's a turbo 4 versus a 6.
Yeah, you can.
But it seems like
it's different power.
The big question is reliability. Is a turbo 4 going to last quite as long as a NAV6?
Oh God, who knows?
Yeah,
it's hard to. There's more moving parts, so but I think the reliability.
Turbos
Lexus
aren't new, right? They've figured out how they work.
Yeah.
Pricing wise, on this article on the website. We have our listing shelves below each one of these articles, targeted to your location as you log in. So you see deals in your area. Are these feeling like appropriate deals? I'm looking at the MDX, and granted, these are all going to be trim dependent, but a spec package, I see 3,500 miles for 56,000.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick. Point of clarification. Which generation are you seeing, Elliot?
2025.
The current body
Yeah, the newest.
Okay, so that's the current body style.
So this is maybe not the best example because it's a 25, but it's used. So that's probably about as expensive as it could get as far as a used one. Let's look. There's a 24 with 20,000 miles for 60. So that's with the advanced package. So, pricing.
Well, what's interesting about these being used is that any used luxury SUV, not any, but everything on this list, you're going to be able to get great deals on a 2 or 3 year old version because so many people lease these, right? Mm-hmm. They get the new one and they lease it for 2 to 3 years, which means if you are in the used market for these, there's a huge marketplace for them. And they're all in good shape. They've been maintained. They're 2 or 3 years old. The depreciation is now not something you as a buyer need to worry about because the lessee dealt with that.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of car for your money and in really good shape. 20,000 miles. Usually the warranty will still be eligible or offered on these cars. Very compelling way to get a lot of luxury for your dollar to buy a 2 or 3 year old version. So,
no, absolutely.
I'm a fan.
Dave, so we've talked about briefly the X5. We talked a little more about the Jaguar, the Range Rover, and of course, we just finished off the Acura and the Lexus. What catches you here? What one of these are you? If it's your say it's your money for a moment. We just gave you $50,000 or however much it costs. Yeah.
Okay.
What are you taking home?
Is he deputy editor now? Is that how we got that?
Is that 50 grand? Is that what a deputy editor gets you these days?
Yeah. Well,
deputy editor at Autolist.
To Team Deputy.
Great question. As we've said, I'm a big fan of the MDX. Mm-hmm. I will say I've talked that over with my wife because we are starting to outgrow our RDX. She does not like the MDX, but for like personal reasons, right? Just like would prefer, isn't in love with the styling. I will say the infotainment setup inside the MDX, a lot of buttons.
Whoa,
they changed it for like what? I love they changed it for 2025 where it got a little better.
No,
still not great.
It's better. It's better now, but.
The touch screen, or the touchpad is gone.
The whole setup, it has a touchpad.
The true touchpad interface, the TTI. And let me tell you,
great.
It has been explained to me ad nauseum. It's in the RDX as well. It's actually kind of an interesting theory.
Yeah.
I was about to say, it makes sense on paper.
It maps the touchpad directly to the screen. So if you touch the top left corner of the touchpad, it touches whatever is in the top left corner of the screen. The problem is that in reality, in actual real world use cases, that's just not what your brain is expecting. I've driven, granted, I only drive these cars for a week at a time, but when I get them, I try and use it as much as I can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've driven probably 8 cars in the last 3 years that had it. It was 8 weeks, 2 months worth of driving in these things, and I cannot get the hang of it. So when they moved away from that
very
into a
distracting
traditional
as you're
touchscreen,
driving.
praise be.
It's very distracting. You take your eyes off the road far more than you should. And then, so we're not, in our household, not a big fan of that entire setup. Again, you're asking size matters, right? 3-row, we're kind of in that life stage. The Q7 is compelling. Again, I'd want to get it with a warranty. That's where you're getting a little more panache in exchange for a little less statistically reliability. But I think that's a nice vehicle, nice compromise between or balance of handling and luxury and practicality. Mm-hmm. That's one. Another one that's always gets overlooked.
Oh, here it comes.
Is Nissan Infiniti.
Oh, not what I was expecting.
You think I was going to say Lincoln?
Yeah, but expand. Tell me more about the Infiniti.
Well, all right. So this is the QX60. This is a luxury version of the Nissan Pathfinder. Both within their respective segments, I think, get overlooked.
They
because
do. Yeah.
They're both in very competitive segments with other rivals that get more attention. That doesn't mean that either of those is not good. So the QX60, it's a 3-row. So you have to sort of want the larger space.
Yeah.
But I think it's nicely executed. I think the styling is nice. I think it's aging well. That has a naturally aspirated 6-cylinder. I don't think that's turbocharged.
3.5 liter V6.
Okay.
Yeah, no turbos.
Yeah.
Because Nissan does have that like weird turbo that they're putting everywhere that isn't
In the
great.
Rogue.
It's like a 4-cylinder. Yeah, but I feel like they're adapting it. Anyway, this one doesn't have it. It's a nice family luxury SUV. Again, the reliability is going to be better than average.
I do like the look. It's a good looking car.
Sharp.
Good looking car. And the pricing, I think Infinitis, for better or worse, don't hold their resale value as well. So that's good if you're a buyer on the used market right now. Like if you compared equal like a 2024 Infiniti QX60 with the same number of miles to, a 2024 Acura or Audi Q7, the Infiniti is going to be materially cheaper.
Yeah, I mean,
so you get more for your dollar.
I'm looking at a 24 Infiniti QX60 Lux with all-wheel drive, 7,000 miles on it, and it's less than 48 grand. It's down here.
I've got one
Norwood,
here
Massachusetts.
so I'm out in California. In Costa Mesa, California, there's a 2025 Infiniti QX60. Now it's front wheel drive, but I see that as an asset. We don't need all-wheel drive out here.
Yeah.
It has 6,000 miles on it. This is a 2025 with 6,000 miles on it. It's $40,000.
Yeah.
It's a new car a new luxury 3-row SUV for 40 grand.
I was going to try to beat you. I can't quite beat you, but I see a 25 all-wheel drive, which for us, all-wheel drive is probably a benefit for most people. $40,700. So just over 40 for a 2025.
Great
It
deal.
is Pure, which I believe Pure is their entry base model,
that's
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're still
Base
getting
model.
leather seats, heated leather seats, sunroof.
It's still luxury, right?
Oh, and
stuff.
interesting.
Yeah.
That 24, it comes with a 4-cylinder. Or at least that's what it's showing.
That's
here.
what I was saying.
That must be is that the
That must be
variable
the new-
compression 4 that they have? Maybe not.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, the ones I'm seeing, the one I cited is still the 6. Let me pull that up here. It's rated as we know on CarGurus, they rate the deals. So this is rated a great deal. This does have the inline 4. Okay, so there is one with the V6. It is a 2024 front wheel drive with the V6 here in Thousand Oaks, California. $39,000.
Wow.
Whoa.
Dropping below the 40.
My point is, whether you want the 4 or the 6-cylinder,
Get the 6.
and this has 14,000 miles, so a little more miles, but you get the 6. Still a brand new car for $39,000.
Yeah, and they're
40
comfortable
with
too.
tax.
These I assume
Yeah.
have the Nissan like zero gravity seats in them, which are incredibly comfortable. Actually, I can't remember if it's a podcast that we recorded and is launching after this one or before it.
Tell me,
but
I might know.
if it's before, I reference how I drove the Nissan Pathfinder out in Seattle earlier this year, and I really needed to write the review. I have written the review, so you can go to cargurus.com and read that. But that also has the same seats, very, very comfortable. But Dave, to your point, a lot of similarities between the Pathfinder and the QX60. I think from a styling perspective, though, like this Infiniti is just pure class. It looks great.
Pure class.
It's going to age well.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? I've blathered. I want to hear your opinions. Elliot, what do you like? You've got two little kids. You have the youngest
just to
child of the 3 of us here.
Well, that's true. I was going to say no, that's Matt, but no, it is me. You're right. Thank you for knowing my family ages. One quick thing on the Infiniti versus Nissan idea. Cliff, one of our expert reviewers, not just at this point. There's a review up on YouTube. It's the Infiniti QX80 versus the Nissan Armada. Right, so that's one level up, one class up.
Huge body on frame SUVs, right?
But it's basically he's comparing the Nissan versus the Infiniti, and that's I don't think we've done a Pathfinder versus QX60, but same idea. But you can kind of see where the money goes in the Infiniti, but where the savings can be in a Nissan.
Yeah. Well, the Armada
plug that
is
real quick.
brand new.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the trim level is called, but the one that he was reviewing there is
it's the Platinum Reserve for Nissan and the Autograph.
Yeah,
so they're
so
both the tops.
the Platinum Reserve is going after the luxury. The Pathfinder that I tested
Was not. It was probably
a
the Rock
Creek.
Creek.
Yeah. So a lot more rugged and frankly didn't feel luxurious at all, but still very comfortable.
So for me, on this list, I think it's one we haven't really talked about, but it's also probably not. I'm a big fan of Volvo, if I'm honest. I really like Volvo.
Talk about class.
Yeah, it's like
And talk about aging well. My God, that thing looks so good, and it's kind of an old design. And chef's kiss.
That's how you know it's Swedish.
one of the first.
You ever see an old Swedish person and you're just like, oh, life's been hard on you? No, they all look great.
That's, you know what? We should stop now because that's better than what I was going to say.
Yeah, we're not ending on a higher note than that.
It was Matt. It was one of the reviews you did. It was the XC90, so not the XC60.
Yeah.
But you called it quiet luxury.
It is.
And I think that's so true. And most Volvos I've been in, it just feels classy without being extravagant. It's not flashy, but you know that it's quality. It has the.
It's the anti BMW Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes. Yeah. I'm on record with Natalie saying that I think Mercedes look like they're built for 12-year-old boys with all the lights, and it looks like Miami Beach inside a Mercedes with neon everywhere. And I'm not a huge fan of that, but that's like pretty much the antithesis to Volvo. Volvo just feels classy, and I'm a classy guy. Yes, Dave, I have two children. One of them being pretty fresh, turned 4 months old yesterday, so pretty fresh.
Happy birthday!
So the XC60 might not be my first choice, but the XC90, although it's not on this list, I love the XC90. I think all things considered, that if I was shopping for luxury, which I'm not, and I don't plan to be in the near future, the XC90 would be on my short list for sure. And on this list, I like the XC60.
Yeah. Well, and it's telling that we've got the XC60 on this list. The XC90 could just as easily be on this list. But frankly, from a styling and just that quiet luxury mentality, every vehicle Volvo makes falls under that umbrella. They're all
they all look the same.
Yeah,
so
there's a beautiful cohesiveness though. Like some automakers will be like, do you see how the design language carries from model to model? In Volvo, you really see it, and it's understated but obvious.
It's I don't want to misstate it, but isn't it called the Thor's hammer? The DRLs,
the headlights, the
headlights, the DRLs.
Honestly, I'm a little sick of those.
Was it BMW that in the 80s said what, same sausage, different lengths? Was like, so they all look the same?
I haven't heard that.
It works.
I like it a lot.
The cars all look the same. They're just like different sizes, different profile.
Audi had that for a while. You're starting to see a little more differentiation from the Audi models.
Last thing on the Volvo, I love the front grille. That feels stately and refined. Their logo with the one line kind of diagonally across.
Yeah.
I think it looks good.
I will say the infotainment screens can be annoying, especially in ones. They get better and better, but like if you are looking like a 4-year-old one, the screens, they're kind of small. I don't love that setup. That's what's hit their reliability ratings. If you pull existing owners, they're like, I don't like that screen. It's laggy.
My aunt was shopping and looking at the Volvo, and that's literally the only thing I told her. I was like, you'll like it. It drives nice. It's very comfortable. If you've driven a Volvo before, you've driven a Volvo now, like, they don't make dramatic changes from year to year. The only thing is like, get in that car at the dealership and test drive the tech, because that might take a little.
Just sit there. Don't even drive. Just sit there and
exactly. Just
hit the
play
buttons
with the touchscreen. Figure it out.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say a car that on this list that we have, I don't think anybody's spoken of. I think it's the only one we haven't spoken of is the Lincoln, the Aviator. Do we have fans, detractors of the Lincoln? My wife
loves the Lincoln Aviator.
Yeah.
Like,
and this is a woman who is riding in many press cars, right? She has like quite a bit of exposure to.
This is also a woman who she's the love of my life, my paramour and partner. just
you're saying it up,
just the queen of our abode.
Kim, he says this off camera as well. He's not hamming it up for the.
He actually has
camera.
a T-shirt that says all of that on it.
She gets in a different car every single week, and I think she is completely oblivious that it's a different car every week. However, we took an Aviator on a 2-week trip, and it was like she couldn't get over the massaging seats. The seats themselves are like 40-way adjustable.
Oh God, yeah,
great sound system. It's a good-looking car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly talk about overlooked. I think the entire Lincoln portfolio is, unless you're an Uber Black driver looking at used Navigators, it's completely overlooked.
I will say
I like the Aviator a lot.
Lincoln is doing really good things now with their redesign, especially of the Aviator. I think the new Aviator looks incredible. The one on this list looks to be the previous gen.
Yeah.
Which looks a little less.
I still like it.
Little less
think it's
gorgeous
aging
to
well.
me. The new one I think looks incredible.
I want to point out that twin turbo V6 that they have in that thing is like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Like Ford is very good. I mean, they've been doing Ford and Lincoln the EcoBoost turbocharging for more than a decade now. They know what they're doing. They can tune those cars. You know, some of the German turbocharged engines, there's a little bit of turbo lag, or they don't quite give you that right off the line. It takes a little, a moment to kind of build that up. Ford and Lincoln turbos are ready to go, man. And like it's what, 400 horsepower?
Yeah.
Fantastic powertrain.
Yeah,
Love that thing.
That's the one we borrowed for a couple of weeks. She loved the massaging seats. I like the accelerator pedal.
Yeah. No, they're nice cars. Yeah. Good size inside, right? True 3-row.
Quiet, real. I mean, tons of speed, but very isolated on the inside.
Yeah.
I'm not going to compare it to a Rolls Royce, but it has that same kind of like this. We're focused not just on the performance of the powertrain, but on like the comfort and serenity of the cabin.
Wow.
Serenity now.
Serenity now. Yeah, honestly, now that we all have kids, we should like the Lincoln Aviator even more.
Yeah, my
Get some
first
peace and
ever
quiet.
my first ever press car that I ever got. I was pretty new at the job, pretty new in the industry. It was a Lincoln Navigator, and that was my first real
big guy.
experience with like a luxury vehicle, and I was blown away. It felt like a living room on wheels. It was luxury seats, and that's not this, but my first impression of Lincoln was like, wow, this is pretty special. So I'm a general fan of Lincoln. I haven't been in too many since that. It's been a while since we've had a Lincoln. So who should we call? Who can get us a Lincoln?
We'll get on the horn. We'll see what we can round up.
Perfect. I think we've hit every vehicle on here in some way or another, except the Mercedes-Benz GLE. I don't think we've spoken about the GLE.
And the thing with the GLE is, I mean, talk about known commodities. They sell a lot of these things. It's got to be one of the better selling luxury, certainly German luxury SUVs. They're built like tanks.
Yeah.
They are.
It's
You just feel safe.
Yeah,
You're like, give me a wall.
It's one of those purchases where you're like, you're weighing all the options, and some of them will they'll stand out for reliability, or they'll stand out for like that twin turbo V6 and the Lincoln. And the German is just like, come on. Come on. We all know you're coming this way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I like it. I think it does lots of things well. I think it's comfortable, and it's got the status that, Mercedes buyers are looking for. There's no mistaking it. I think it looks pretty good. Inside is built like a tank, very comfortable. I will say I really like Mercedes. What are they? M-Bucks, whatever they call their infotainment system.
Oh,
setup.
yeah, MBUX. Yeah.
I think it's really nicely done. We were talking about Acura.
Like
it's kind of like a
M-Bucks.
mess. M-Bucks. Yeah, it sounds like fake money you get when you buy one. Like
How many Mercedes bucks does this car cost?
Many.
But I like that infotainment system. I think it's well executed. There are good redundancies built in. It too has a touchpad, but it also has the screen. It's got buttons where it should be.
Yeah.
No, I'm a fan. No, there's nothing inherently about it that I would say to run away from.
One of the things I like about, frankly, all Mercedes models, or at least all that I can think of off the top of my head, they have that really solid, big, overbuilt feel. But the gear shifter, is the stalk on the side of the column. But it's just, it takes the slightest input just to like drive, reverse. It's like it's very delicate. It like adds a little bit of sophistication to what is otherwise like a really over-engineered interior.
Well, it helps if I always shift it with my pinky up.
Yeah.
If I'm, when in Rome, that's how I drive my Mercedes.
Perfect.
I see here it's available with a twin turbo V8.
Yeah, well,
On the AMG level. Have either of you driven that monster?
The
GLE-53, I think. Is that one? But
there's the AMG 63. Yeah. That thing will get you arrested.
63.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah.
It's very expensive though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say
you don't need it.
In terms
the GLE 350.
In terms of just sonic pleasure, auditory goodness, I'd probably go Jaguar, Land Rover, Mercedes AMG.
Okay.
So there you go. If that's what you're
Yeah,
shopping
no, I
for,
agree. I agree.
I'd go
That's
I'd go
also-
those three. And in terms of expected repair bills, I'd probably go Jaguar, Land Rover, Mercedes AMG.
You know, I'm gonna third both of you. I agree.
I love it.
All right. Anything left from you two to add for any of these before we wrap it up?
I just
think this
underscored
is a good
Dave's
list.
point on, a lot of these vehicles are available off lease, and there's
Yeah.
a ton of value to be had there. So,
Yeah.
yes, a luxury vehicle is still going to be more expensive than the Toyota, Honda, Ford equivalent, but there's a reason for the price. You get an incredible amount of craftsmanship in these cars, and things that the typical consumer can't see or doesn't think about, like, an extra laminate on the windshield. That's what goes into the luxury yard. Make it quieter, make it smoother.
The intangibles.
Just elevate the driving experience. And it's easy to overlook those things. So I think there's a ton of value on particularly the late model used luxury SUV market.
Well, and if you time it right, you could get a 2 or 3 year old one, and the body style is exactly the same as the brand new one sitting on the dealer lot. So you drive home in your 2-year-old Acura or BMW or what have you, and you just saved all of the depreciation. You've gotten a pretty good deal, and your neighbor has a brand new one. They look exactly the same. No one is going to be the wiser. So I think that's a pretty compelling.
Well,
too.
you'll be the wiser because
You'll be the
know.
wiser, and you'll be the
know.
wealthier because you saved 20 grand in
wiser
depreciation.
and the wealthier.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Well, now that Matt has gotten his considerable bump up to deputy from Dupty, Matt has some scratch to work the used luxury market. So
Just so everyone listening is just so we're clearing the air. That was a joke.
it's a joke.
Matt will continue to shop exclusively at LL Bean and nowhere else.
And the Subaru.
Until those
Dupity or
LL Bean
not.
sponsorships start coming through. Come on, New England company.
Is that LL Bean?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's a man of
Pants are
action.
It's too easy.
Pants are too.
It's too easy.
Oh, I like this shirt. It's moleskin.
It's a great shirt. Wow. We'll do a fashion episode upcoming.
Can't wait.
Matt, you and Dave can lead that one.
I'll give you tips. I'll dress you. We'll get tips.
Dave, you're a fashionable guy too.
I was waiting for mine.
That's
but I
all
guess
because of my wife.
You're wearing a V-neck, Elliot.
You're wearing a hat, Matt.
Ellie's wearing a V-neck, and it's 40 degrees in that studio out there. Yeah, so.
I run hot. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Like I always say, most of these vehicles, if not all of them, can be seen on our YouTube channel by these fine people. Some of them might be Matt and or Dave. And if they're not a video form, they're probably written as well. So you want to read, you want to watch, pick your poison.
And shop.
And shop. Thank you, Dave. Bringing it back to what pays the bills, other than Matt. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. Have a great one.
Thanks, folks.